Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. One of the first steps in good PR is to keep your mouth shut, maybe sometimes occasionally keep your opinion to yourself, especially when you're talking about video games or when you're talking about the customer base that you want to come to your website. But however, in the, atmosphere, in the arena that we're talking in right now in the games industry, between customers, developers, and all these so-called game journalist websites, that seems to be a rather foreign concept because we get one person after another, one article after another, another website here, narrative developer there, comes out and just has nothing good to say about the people they're trying to cater to, which makes me wonder, why on earth are you in this industry at all? In our latest edition of Just Be Quiet Already, GameSpot, that's a mistake, GameSpot, not to be confused with the oh so wonderful company GameStop that gives you $10 for your trade and then turns around and sells it for $50 on the shelf. Two totally different things. GameSpot, the oh so wonderful video game journalist website that probably, maybe doesn't have as much integrity as Kotaku and Polygon, but I'm sure they're getting there. GameSpot editor Jessica Cogswell attacks gamers as, quote, incel gamer dudes previously shared animus against white dudes, because John F. Trent found a new word. He likes to use it, which I'm not going to fault him for. Let's educate the world. Let's get our words out there. Let's get our vocabulary out there. Let's increase the selection of words that we use. Animus. I do kind of like the word, honestly. Unfortunately, it makes me think of animals, but has nothing to do with it. We're going to move on now. At the end of March, Cogswell wrote on X, because she's just so wonderful. Man, I don't know how all these incel gamer dudes are expecting games to have hot characters and characters representative of them at the same time. I believe that's called a backhanded insult or a backhanded compliment? No. There's a word for it. My brain's malfunctioning. Y'all let me know in the comments. LMAO at these replies. Get a life, weirdos. You're really endearing your public to your side of things. Cogswell concluded the thread writing, she gets into some really, really wonderful things later on. When did we, quote, while she's quoting, when did we ever say we wanted representation? Every other fucking time your collective tweets, it's about how, quote, woke characters and women are in every role, and you miss cis-het white men being allowed in things. No, honestly, we're tired of the red flag after red flag after red flag that ushers in the trash story, the boring character, and the nonsensical chalkboard grating dialogue. Because every single time, look, it's a character made for the modern audience. What's the game going to be? More than likely, it's going to be a pile of dog shite. And it ends up being a pile of dog shite. So what we're begging for, what we're asking for, is just good games. And you know what? If that means getting some big buff white hetero cis man in there, then so be it. Maybe, just maybe, if these game developers, again, beating that dead horse, but hey, everyone's videos, every video is somebody's first. I can't even say it right. Make the game first, and then insert whatever the hell you want after it. Make the story interesting, make it fun, and then worry about checking off your little boxes. Because when you start with the check boxes, the ideological nonsense, you get shite games. You get games like Forspoken and Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, because that's doing so wonderful right now, with the rumors of it shutting down in a year. Go spend that hard-earned money on those expansion packs, boys and girls. Or what is it? Not expansion packs. Well, I guess they are expansion packs. On that battle pass. March 2023, Cogswell declared she would stop using the term. This is a good one. I actually remember this one. This was before I started running my mouth like an idiot 2 years ago. Actually, no, I was running my mouth 2 years ago. Look at me. I think I'm getting old. But I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't talking about video games at the time. I was talking about other nonsense. But she declared she would stop using the term JRPG and declared that white people should not comment on the subject. Really? I find that kind of funny because the word going around from morons like you is that, well, Asians are white adjacent, aren't they? That's what they said about good old Mark Kern. Quote, she wrote, I've used the term JRPG for years and honestly, well, because it's an accurate term. Hannah is completely right, and I'm going to stop. It's a category that doesn't need to exist. It's not up to you to decide what categories are allowed to exist and which ones are not. Games should be separated by content, not the race of the people created them. And if that's what you believe, you are the problem. You are the racist, because that is not... Well, yes, it is. Yes, it isn't. How do I explain this from my understanding? My understanding is that a JRPG, a Japanese role-playing game, is a particular style of role-playing game. It is not like a Western or a European role-playing game. It has a particular way of doing things because that is what they do in Japan. Yes, it is, in a sense, based on the race of the individual creating it, but it is more of the Japanese style of role-playing games. They do not make role-playing games the same way old pasty-faced Peckerwoods do in the West. So, not understanding that, how do you have a job at a video game website? I barely understand the concept of the two, discerning between a Western RPG and a JRPG. And I could do a better job differentiating the two. And you work at a video game website. Oh boy, I think this is one of those things we need to do away with. Again, not your decision, not up to you. You can scream from the rafters and move on because people will continue to call things like Persona 5 a JRPG. Next, Cogswell added, even if you don't mean it in a negative way, because heaven forbid that context matters. That is another thing that is just mind-bogglingly foreign. How you doing, everybody? I graduated from high school. Foreign to any of these people speaking out about it. Context matters. Context will always matter until the end of time. Taking things out of context, that just means you're bad faith, disingenuous nonsense. Think about how it comes across for a few minutes. It comes across as a description for the type of role-playing game that you're introducing, that you're playing, that you're describing to someone that most people understand the difference. Most people. Sure, we can talk about the difference between Western and Eastern RPGs, but Western should not be the default term RPG. Oh, okay. She concluded her thread by telling white people, good Lord, not to comment on the use of the term. Quote, also, I think if you're white, please consider thinking before tweeting. Why? You didn't. You obviously didn't. And you work at a game website. You did not think before you said something so astronomically foolish. Stupidity has a reason. Foolishness is not. I'm finding this to be intentionally ignorant and pulling things out of context to defend your nonsensical viewpoint. That's definitely bad faith. I'm rambling. Let's move on. Actually, I don't know. Oh. Consider thinking before tweeting. Actually, I don't know that it's racist because, well, it's not racist. Just because you say something's racist doesn't mean it's racist. What's the context? You're describing a role-playing game of a particular style created by those in Japan. You know what? There are studios in the West, in the big bad white West, that can make a role-playing game using the same style that the Japanese do when they're creating their role-playing games, and it will still be called a JRPG because that's the style of the role-playing game it is based on. Oh my goodness. Oh, we're going back to September 2022. This is a big on. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, but I'm very tired of certain groups of feminists mourning the death of a very old problematic white woman while remaining quiet. What on earth is this about? While remaining quiet when women... Oh. Jessica Cogswell has the white savior, the white girl savior syndrome, where she is going to speak on your behalf, and you have to just sit down and be quiet. Mr. Whatever, Mr. and Mrs. POC, I'm going to speak on your behalf and defend you because you don't know how to defend yourself. My goodness, the pretentiousness. Oh, Lord. The amount of white women I see constantly mourning the Queen or Ruth Bader Ginsburg when there are POC and trans women being attacked in need of support is giving me a constant headache. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm going to be offended on your behalf. Cogswell also took issue to the racial makeup of Xbox's leadership team. Why are you so racist? Huh? This is barely diverse. This is below the bare minimum. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. This is below the bare minimum. You don't have enough colored people. I'm sorry. You don't have enough people of colored, because saying colored people, using the term colored people, that's racist. But if I flip the words around and put of in between them, say people of color, it's perfectly okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen? There's nothing whatsoever inherently racist about the term person of color. What the actual... Anyway. Oh, I've been seeing people praise this, and what? I'm so confused. You probably because you ate paint chips as a child. Back in 2021, what do we have here, Park Place? John, what did you do? How far back did you go, dear? Let's see. She reacted to a post by BuzzFeed news reporter Kelsey Weekman, reacting to a report from Neiman Lab that claimed Gen Z wants journalists to have personalities. I think everybody just wants journalists to have integrity. What she said. This is such an interesting topic to me, and I've had so many conversations with friends and even vented about it a bit on private because, like, yes, this is 1000% a thing that exists. Personality? Integrity would be better, regardless of if we wanted to or like it. Like I will say, the only folks I see that can get away with not having a voice and personality on social media. Oh, I think she didn't understand the assignment. Having a voice and personality. I think she was have a personality. Be interesting. Many young people form parasocial relationships with celebrities and influencers on social media, and they'll want to feel the same sort of connection with journalists. That's like that's going find someone with cancer and getting a blood transfusion. Wanting to have any sort of connection with a journalist? Oh my goodness, there's a far worse analogy there that I'm not going to say, but you know exactly what I mean. Oh, the only folks I see that can get away with not having a voice and personality on social media and still get the same opportunities. Oh, here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. Cis, hetero, white men, and folks who are already established because the white man is bad. They're the only ones that get the same opportunities, even though right now the only people running their mouth over and over and over and over and over again on social media are white women coming to everyone's defense, whether or not there's anyone out there that feels actually harassed or harmed or anything like that. This is probably very close to legitimate mental illness, but hey, I wouldn't want to insult the mentally ill. At this point, we're better served not arguing over if it's a thing, if it should be, and moving on to having discussions on who to enforce boundaries. What? People will try to tell you to stay off social media and argue its lack of importance and need when I, and the majority of folks I know, wouldn't have 80% of what we have without it. You think social media got you what you needed? You can't step out your own front door, go after it yourself in the workforce, in your own life, and for real. You have to jump on social media and screech from the rafters to try and get what you want. And you think that's going to work. That's what's going to work. You have barely anyone. Twitter may have a lot, or X, whatever you want to call it. Twitter, X, may have this massive platform, this massive number of users, but first of all, it's infinitesimal compared to the number of people, well, in the world easily. From my understanding, YouTube is far more popular, far more, I guess, influential when it comes to social justice nonsense, regardless of whatever side of the social justice aisle you are on, it is still technically social justice. Me running my mouth about these morons could technically be considered social justice, mostly because, I mean, it's a social issue. that's seeping into video games, and I would prefer to having well, actually, I would just prefer having good games with interesting characters and interesting stories. She goes on and on. Here's a fun one, August 2021, talking about Typhoon Studios and Journey to the Savage Planet. I don't know. I pretty much expected the team behind Journey to the fucking Savage Planet. Wow, just got to drop curse words in all your stuff. To look like a white boy frat house. Oh, Lord. I know there's a lot going. If you're white, we need to sit back and listen. I bet she posted this. Oh, nope, in May. A lot of folks are processing and learning. Jesus Christ. White savior Karen. My goodness. The whole article kind of goes off the rails, goes into her. Good Lord, I don't even want to know what she's talking about. Main thing is, we have people in the video game industry who hate their customers, who hate their readers, their viewers, and I will never understand, even hate the developers, the devs, saying, there's too many white people on that panel. There's not enough diversity. There's not enough diversity. Not enough diversity. So instead of just maybe assuming meritocracy is a thing on that panel, on that developers crew, how about that? Continue to insult your prospective customers, and you will continue to understand why the term get woke, go broke is a thing. Maybe, just maybe, every once in a while, you should think before you hit enter on that tweet. Incel gamer dudes previously shared animus towards white people. This woman hates you, so you make your own decision. Everybody wants to go to GameSpot to see what they're talking about lately, but their editor, Jessica Cogswell, just likes to run her mouth and hate potential customers. Anyway, that's enough rambling. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTubers beg you to do, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.